Hi there, Keegan from the Neve Engineering blog. A few weeks overdue on an update, really. I've been busy, so I've designed a new set of sprockets. So the old ones are still attached. There we are. So that's what the old ones look like. These were designed for the tracks from the remote control car. This is what the new ones look like. So these are actually designed for the Pyborg Monster Bog motors. And yeah, so rather than having just the slots in there, because the profile of the back of the tracks was basically these little tabs, we've got these ones that are actually triangular. Not quite triangular. Pyramidical without the top? I don't know. There's a design of shape there somewhere. And these are for these flexible links that I've designed. So these are based on a design that Rigid Ink did. They printed theirs solid, and they actually had rubber bits that clipped around the bottom to give them grip. These are printed in TPU, in flexible filament, and yeah, they're quite cool because they just split apart, and you can just kind of squidge them together, but they still do the thing. Another cool feature that I added in, I don't know if this will come up. Come on, there's an angle there somewhere. There you go. So you've got a dot, a dash, and a blank. And the idea is that you can put these together and basically spell out stuff using Morse code. It's daft, but I don't care. This entire project's daft. It's something that JPL did for the Curiosity rover as well. If you look that up, they, in the wheels, the big wheels on the Curiosity, they have dots and dashes around the circumference, which spell out JPL as it drives through the sand. And this being inspired by the works of Sir Terry Pratchett, it's only right we'd go with GNU Terry Pratchett. So that's, do a search for GNU Terry Pratchett and it'll all be explained. But basically, the idea is that someone never truly dies as long as their name is still spoken. It's a big plot point in one of his books, which I heartily recommend. And yeah, so I've designed the tracks, designed new sprockets, and designed new idlers with bearings. And yeah, these are really satisfying just for the fact that they're press fit in order to fit around. The bolts I'm using, I printed these little spacers, and basically you can pop them in the middle and it stops these rattling around on the bolts. So here's one I prepared earlier, and I mean, it's not like they've got zero rolling friction or anything, but it just makes it considerably more consistent. And when you're dealing with tracks where even the slightest movement will throw the whole thing off, then that's important, probably. If it is important, I'll never know that it wasn't, because I've done this from the start. And yeah, there's again the profile, so that's a better way of seeing it. You can see this is an early design as well. I've done a new one, but I don't know where the maybe these ones. There we go. Okay, so these ones have got a far chunkier bit there, and they barely move around in that orientation, and they don't move around at all in that way. Whereas these previous ones, you had slippage. So this is why we prototype. So yeah, that's it. This is my progress towards the goal of end of October to get the drivetrain working again and have the robot moving around. It's been slow going because I've been ill, nothing serious, but just to the point where I'm actually sat here wearing pyjama bottoms. So they're out of frame. Now where's the other bit? So there we go. So in order to get things moving, I tried to print a full plate's worth of the links, because it's going to need somewhere in the region of 42, which I really hope it is, links for the full circumference, full length of the drivetrain on each side. So I printed out loads of them. It literally took up the entire plate on my 3D printer. Unfortunately, after about 17 hours into the print, I think, I got home from work and found that a bunch of them had lifted and fallen off the sides. It turns out that printing 3 of them's fine because they don't have time to warp, but once you've started printing 40 odd of them, they warped and a bunch along the edge popped off and fell off, and it was all starting to get messy. So I caught it just as basically it got to the point where all of these were done. The downside is it basically didn't get to the point where we had the raised bits for it to actually hook into the sprocket. Actually, I didn't actually test that. So there is just a little... Okay, that's good to know. There is just a bit of grip in there, so maybe I could use these for testing. I don't know. But either way, one thing it means I can test is basically hooking these together in a long loop, which means I can do that. I mean, this is hardly an important test, but it just proves that these are all individually linked together, and it's a hell of a sound effect as well, isn't it? And yeah, it's fine. It doesn't come apart. And yeah, I've not actually put a proper weight on there, but that wasn't exactly a small amount of stress. And considering that this is, you'll have the drive sprocket up there and idlers here and there, so it's going to be here where there's rotational forces. So if it gets to the point where there's enough friction in the system that can, I've no idea. I'm going to have to make these and figure out if that goes wrong. If it doesn't work, that's going to be annoying. If it doesn't work, we can go back to previous design of the links, of which none are handy. But basically, as I said, on the rigid ink design of these bits were done solid, and then you had TPU clips that go around the edge. I don't know what TPU stands for, but basically it's flexible. It's a flexible filament, which is how these are able just to basically, there's enough flex on there, you can just basically go cladunk and they go together. The rigid ink ones basically had notches in the back so that you had to push them in a certain orientation. They'd go in, and then as soon as you rotated them around, they were locked in. They worked a treat in practice, but yeah, I've no idea. I need to do more things. But yeah, that's where we're at the minute. The rest of the robot is a pile of parts over there, so there's not really been any progress there. I have got some new parts though, actually thinking about it. So I have received the stereo pie kit. So I've got an actual compute module, the compute module 3 Plus. So yeah, that's new to me. I've never played with one of these before. And I have the Redboard Plus from Red Robotics. That was actually announced and put up for sale a couple of weeks back. And is it Neil Lambeth? I really hope I've got that right. Basically, it's a robotics board. It's got 2 6-amp motor controllers on there. It's got 12 GPIO slots that are designed to be used with servos, which means that with the servo shield I had, it'll give me somewhere in the region of 28 servos I can play with, which should just about be enough. And yeah, the Red board also does, like, it's got power monitoring built in, it's got ADCs, it's got various other things that I'm probably forgetting. But it's 30 odd quid, and it comes with a Python library that does all the things, and yeah, it looks like it will do all the things. So the vague plan at the minute is to have a Raspberry Pi, a normal one, a Raspberry Pi B, one of the threes I've got, as the kind of the master controller, You can put the Stereo Pi into gadget mode, which is quite cool because it means you can then power it using the micro USB port on it, which also acts as an Ethernet port. I've done that with Pi Zeros before quite successfully. So yeah, that can handle data and power. And yeah, I have no idea really, and I'm just wittering. So yeah, that's where I'm at the minute, and the plan is to carry on going and get the links done. I think worst case scenario, even if these don't, even if they aren't, you know, if they do end up being a bit too, not wording good. If they end up coming apart under actual usage, I can redesign them. It'll be annoying, to say the least, because they do take, like I say, a day and a half to print. But I'm getting to the point where I actually have 2 printers online. So, yeah, probably another update next weekend, maybe. Well, I suppose Wednesday is the deadline, isn't it? Wednesday, whenever the 31st is. So I'll give an update around them, hopefully with it trundling around. Until then, ta-ta for now. Like, subscribe, do all the usual things. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook and in my newly revived blog over at neve.engineering. And yes, that is the URL. Other than that, yeah, stay tuned. Bye for now.